Hello, and welcome to a very special day 26 of the From Zero to Marketing Hero podcast. Today is a very exciting day. It's the day I get to share the very first interview of this podcast series. For those of you that are joining in or tuning in for the very first time, my name's Paul Heron. And during the week, I had the pleasure of having a chat and sitting down and connecting with Lynda Strong. Lynda has been on her own journey of discovery over the last few years. She is a trauma and addiction coach and also balances intuitive healing, Reiki, and sound healing to help her clients create the change they've been longing for. During the conversation, it became clear that we are kind of approaching the same challenges in slightly different ways, but I really felt like we're on the same page in terms of trying to navigate this journey that we're on. As I'm putting this together, I'm realizing there's a ton of questions that I would have love to have asked Lynda in the interview. So if you find yourself thinking the same, please don't hesitate to reach out. Lynda's contact details are down in the show notes below. So if this message resonates with you, please reach out and start your own conversation with Lynda. So without any further ado, please enjoy our conversation. Enjoy. So I guess we could start, Lynda, by just asking you how you come around to establishing this business.
So my business is pretty new. It's just new as of this year, but I feel like I've been kind of cultivating my craft, so to speak, since my early teens. I'm 49 now, so it's definitely something I was interested at that time. I even remember, I work with the chakra system. And I even remember at that age coming up with what I thought I was just coming up with or making up meditations to cleanse chakras. And I just kind of was doing it and just, excited about things. And then I decided to just closet myself in a variety of ways and try to live that typical American life of having kids, having a full-time job. And I was a teacher for 22 years.
Yeah,
I
wow.
taught in the inner city. I taught kindergarten as well as first and second. And my last 5 years, I was in early childhood special ed. So I taught in a severe autism unit, which after COVID was really difficult. I realized I started using my voice and asking for what we needed and was just getting denied left and right. And it was very frustrating because it was, our basic safety. We were getting hurt every day. There was just a lot that wasn't getting, we needed people. That's what we needed. And I wasn't getting that. So I ended up having a really stressful year that year. That was 2021, that school year when we returned. And my body was, I think it was just the universe saying, hey, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And we're just going to crank up the heat a little bit more and keep cranking it up until you say, okay. So my father became sick that year. He became sick with amyloidosis. It's a blood cancer. And I was struggling. I was in an abusive relationship at the time too. And then I decided I needed to leave. And I stepped away from my 22-year teaching career, which I thought that was going to be my life. That was going to be the rest of my life. I was going to be a teacher. I was going to retire. That's just what was going to happen. So I ended up leaving to take care of my father. And I escorted him out of life. And I'm so grateful I did because he was a really good businessman. He was a really kind man. He was almost guru status. He accepted his fate, I would say. He was 88. He had a good life and he just was happy. He was ready. He was just content. And I'm really grateful that I had that time with him. And he understood what I did, because basically I would hold space for him. Right? I took care of his physical needs too, but it was more of a spiritual type of holding for him at that time. So I'm really grateful I did. And he didn't want me to be in a job that made me unhappy. His business was called Imperial Auto Parts. And so my business is Imperial Serenity and Wellness, named after my dad's business. So
That's such a nice tribute to him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know he's, as he passed, and he's like one of my biggest supporters. I can just feel him around me all the time. And um, after my dad passed, I moved in with my mom, and I took care of her, and she also passed within a year. So they both passed within a year and a half or so. So um, I've been recovering from grieving, recovering from a few different things, and really worked hard to release myself from codependency, which has been very, very difficult. But that's what I like to combine the trauma and addiction recovery coaching along with the energy healing. I think both together can produce really deep truth, results. And so I was working in a memory care unit, and I realized how much all of this caretaking was really detrimental to everybody's physical, emotional, mental well-being, and what a deep need there is for healing. And so I decided to walk away from my role as a activity coordinator in a memory care unit in order to walk into this dream and see what the universe has for me, because going to that job, while I loved it, it completely drained all of my energy. And there's no way I could have done that and tried to do this like that, just along with having a child, that would be impossible. So here I am trying to trying to start and figuring it all out one day at a
Absolutely.
time. So
Oh, it sounds like we're in the same boat in some ways. Was it a difficult decision to make at the time between staying in that job that you had envisioned at some point anyway? You envisioned seeing that career through to its end, but was it a difficult decision at the time?
for leaving teaching,
Yeah.
um, yes and no. I mean, I certainly should have left earlier. If I look back,
Mm,
the universe was
yeah.
trying to tell me it's time to go, and I wasn't listening. So, in that way, no. The universe made it very possible. So it supported me. I feel totally in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, and just trying to figure out what the best steps are, what the best way to navigate. I'm not a salesperson, so
And I think
I'm
that's one
not
of the challenges
pushy.
that a lot of us have, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. I don't like to push. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I feel very much like I'm here to magnetize those that feel drawn to what I'm offering. So it's an interesting dance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely resonate with, this idea of, trying to put our voice out there in a way that is ethical in our standards, in line with our values. This is one of the biggest challenges that I've personally faced, and one of the reasons that I've embarked on this journey myself, to really, figure out how those pieces come together. There's
Hmm.
the pieces of the puzzle that we kind of know we need to work towards, but how do we get them to balance and work out in a way that sits well with us? What are some of the things that you've been able to manage to work towards in terms of helping people become aware of what it is that you're doing at the moment?
Let's see. I mean, I try to do Facebook, right? Like doing lives on Facebook. I do love to be in front of a camera when I'm feeling up to it. Um, and I've done a few fairs, like local fairs. So some of those can be hit or miss. But yeah, some of them have been really good connections. And I'm trying to contact, different like care facilities to try to work with them. So those have been my main things, is word of mouth, and just trying to see what helps, see what happens. Trying to use some ads here and there, but I don't know. I don't feel like that's my.
It's a
I
tough
have
one,
to
isn't it?
find
Yeah.
the people. It really is. It's very tricky. Like I don't. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. And I very much believe in asking the universe for what it is that's the best, and then waiting to see what comes to me. Because if I get too cluttered into well, how is this supposed to work? And I use my brain too much, the
Yes.
universe like I'm not open to what is being presented to me. So it's a real practice in surrendering and releasing from how business should typically work, I suppose, and trusting in the process, trusting that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, trusting that this is what I want. And if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I trust that the universe is going to provide for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Was you've obviously got quite a spiritual approach to the work that you're doing with your business at the moment. Was that something that did grow with you through your earlier career in education? Or is that something that's been a little bit more of a recent?
I would say it was more recent. I was raised in the Wells, the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod, and didn't feel very connected to that type of a organized religion.
Yep.
Um, and so through that separating and then coming into resonance, I guess, with what's in my heart, what does that mean? Having to clear away the clutter and just figure that out is a process in and of itself. So I think it's a thing that slowly unfolds, and it can change. It can. It's confusing because it's like I want it to be the same every day or have some kind of a, regulation to it, but at the same time, I have to just be open to what the universe wants.
Yeah.
I do go to a Unitarian church. It's a there's not a lot of mention of God or, things like that. It's more like being open to being a good person and building community. And I think that's what's really important is building community and being supporting each other the best way that we can without draining ourselves, which is the key. That's the fine dance.
Absolutely. So it sounds like it's been quite a transition over the last 3 or 4 years from, the old lifestyle, old career into something completely new. Where do you see this business going for you what's next over the next 6, 12 months? How do you see this growing with you?
Well, I really my baby in all of this is my caregiver program. So I have it's called Caring for Caregivers, and it's an energetic support group. So it's a low cost. It's only $33 a month, and it's a weekly meeting where I teach people a class on the chakras, and so they can come to that once, or they can come as many times as they want, but the information will be similar. And then from 8 p.m. till 8:30, we do a sharing time where we can witness each other, where we don't get advice or anything like that, but it's a place where we can share. A lot of times caregivers just need somewhere to say it. You just need to speak it to release it, because when we hold it in, it bounces around our bodies and it causes a lot of disruption and a lot of frustration and anger. It just builds and builds and we don't express it. And then what happens when it's under pressure, right? It explodes. And so my goal is to allow for that for about a half an hour, and then I guide people through some sort of intuitive healing for the week. Last week we did a sound healing because I work with like the crystal bowls and all sorts of different instruments. So yeah, I just see what spirit wants and see who shows up, and it's a community I'm building. And
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
hope from
Yeah.
that to find people to join my coaching group. So just trying to figure out who is on this journey with me. Where are we all?
Is all of your work, is it all in-person stuff or is it online as well as in person? Or a
It's mostly
combination?
online. I can do in person. I am working currently outside of my home, but I am always looking for somewhere. I do have a couple of spaces that I'm going to offer support groups in, looking for meditations and to do sound baths and things like that. But I do really like the online option. I think it makes it much more accessible for people. The caregivers program is all online. And so is my coaching. I just find it easier for people. And then I can record, so if people can't make it to the event, I record it on Zoom and then they get the replay. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to pin things down.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that, COVID caused a lot of grief for a lot of us overall. But one of the things that's come out of that is that ability to be able to, on a wide scale, have acceptance of being able to do this type of program online. People are much more open to, um, staying in their own environment and in their own space where they feel comfortable. And I think it actually adds to the coaching experience, if I'm honest, in my experience anyway.
Hmm. I think so too. And plus, even, being in person, sometimes you have to worry about all that in-person stuff.
I
It
know.
kind of takes some of that stuff
Yeah.
away so that you can worry about yourself and your own heart, truly. I know a lot of people, and I do love in person, especially for sound healing, but um, I just think there's some value to that, which I've always thought. When I first, years ago, I would do a therapist I worked with who was a therapist and a healer. She would do some of her stuff on phone. And at first I was kind of resistant to it. Like, why can't we be in person? But
Yep.
I just found it to be a lot more easy for me to go within when I wasn't worrying about the physicalities of things.
Yeah. 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 That's fantastic. And I'm curious to ask what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learnt? Because business has its ups and downs, as you're probably aware. But what's one of the biggest lessons that you've been able to take from your experience in setting up this business so far?
I think trying biggest lessons, like trying not to get too bogged down by things not going exactly as I want them to. That can be really challenging. It's like, oh, this was supposed to lead to this, and that didn't do anything, and what did I do wrong? But just trusting the process, trusting that things are unfolding as they need to, and just being accepting and surrendering to what is supposed to come out, because we're not supposed to see our path. We're supposed to just be in the moment, and the path slowly clears. So it's impossible to know exactly where we're going when we can't even see the road yet. And so trusting in that, trusting in that is a trick.
I resonate with that a lot. It's I think for a lot of us, it's this constant battle between certainty or wanting certainty, seeking certainty, and just trusting that things will unfold the way they're meant to. And I love the way you describe that. I think that's a wonderful way to describe it. Um, when we're so focused on external results and needing things to fall into place, I know myself that's been one of the challenges that I've had to overcome, and finding ways to be able to trust, to let go of the
Hmm.
external expectations and just come back to focusing on, the things that are important for me to be able to continue maintaining that momentum and come back from the setbacks as quickly as we can, and just continue to keep taking steps forward. I think it's a powerful way to approach it. I really like that. I'm curious to ask again. And I love that you have moved from teaching, and you mentioned in I think in your website there that you are providing help to caregivers, teachers, and parents. I think that's what it mentioned on your website there, which really resonated with me. It really stood out as something on your website there. Um, and I'm curious how that all comes together. Are they separate programs that you're offering to the various different groups, or is it something that everyone comes together, or how does that work?
Right now, because it's just a brand new program, right now it's one meeting. But in the future, if things, get bigger, I would probably separate them. But I truly believe we have deep connective threads between different people that are in caregiver roles. Plus, a lot of people are in multiple roles at once. But I want to say the bones of the caregiver industry, which can be parents, teachers, social workers, nurses, anybody who is in the job of caring for others, there's a high probability that you are experiencing codependency or you are codependent. and which means that you are sacrificing yourself. You're sacrificing your happiness.
Mm,
And
mm.
so part of my goal in this program is to help people understand their own energy and to be able to release things from it. So we can all come together in that. I am starting to offer in-person support groups, which are a little more specific to different groups, but I'm still not for sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just trying to figure it out. So yeah, so at the moment, it's something I see everybody participating together, because we are all more similar than we are dissimilar.
Yeah,
But there could
absolutely.
be if things get big. I mean, it's right now I have about 10 people in the program, and as it grows, I could see that being a valuable thing. But
I love that you've got you've got the group program. You've got 10 people there. Is one-on-one coaching something that you want to eventually sort of work towards from this group? Is it, or is one-on-one coaching part of the business already? How does that look at the moment?
it is, yeah. So I'm certified in trauma and addiction recovery coaching. And so I'm just finishing up my pilot program. I did a 9-week program, pilot program with a group of
Awesome.
4 people.
Yes.
And it was a combination of classes and healing. So I do a class helping people to release from codependency, and then we do a guided intuitive healing to help support whatever that information is that we learned each week. So doing, inner child work, learning about the chakras, learning about the elements, learning about our intuition, all sorts of things. And then with with the pilot, I did have each participant get a one-on-one each week. I'm doing it a little differently for this next group, just so that, like, energetically, I have to be able to support the time that I'm doing. So people can have the option to do one-on-one coaching of different numbers during the program, or they can just do the class.
Okay.
So,
There's a lot of different options
so
there.
that's
Yeah,
kind of,
I love that.
yeah, I want to make it accessible, and I loved having the one-on-one with the coaching group that I did, but I think going forward to make it more accessible, and that I need to have those options. So
Yeah, absolutely. Was group training always the first step for you? Did it ever feel like there was a decision to be made whether you would go one-on-one first or group coaching first, or did it always feel more natural to go with the group coaching first?
you know what, I've never thought about it before, but I think it feels much more manageable for people. Um, that's how when I got my trauma and addiction recovering coaching, that was through a coaching group, and then we did individual work. And that just feels more accessible, I guess. You can reach a lot more people that way, and then through that, find the people that want to work more one-on-one.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know if you know human design at all. Do you know human design at all?
yeah.
So
I'm not sure.
I'm
No.
a projector, and I'm a projector in human design. So I have my, like, energy is kind of limited in how much, like, physical output I can put out, but because I do this work in the more esoteric kind of world, but so I have to be very mindful of that. And I work through waiting for invitations. So um, and my aura is very penetrating. So being one-on-one with people is where, like, the more deep inner work can be done. Um, but the way that we find those people, I think, is through group work. So,
Yeah, I love that. And the only reason I asked that was because I was kind of the opposite way around. And maybe it's because I had hired a coach one-on-one and sort of started the path that way. Maybe it was because of that, but it just felt more natural for me to start with the one-on-one coaching myself. And I'm actually finding myself in kind of the opposite situation where that's one of my goals down the road, to start doing some group programs as well, to hopefully do exactly the same thing that you're doing, to have a
hmm
pathway, I guess, into that more intimate one-on-one conversation that I've been able to set up so far.
yeah.
So I just think it's fascinating how we,
Yeah. Well, and I was a teacher, so that's like my normal is to work,
yes,
have groups.
yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
how, when I was an activity coordinator, I ran groups, and it's like you get kind of more bang for your buck, so to speak. Not that it's about money or anything, but just being able to reach more people. Um, yeah, so it's very interesting.
Yeah. So it's a relatively new business, but it sounds like there's quite a few different components bubbling away already, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like such a mixed bag of things that are coming together. And I also know I need to be more specific. So it's just seeing what sticks and what people are drawn to. Yeah, but I love it all. It makes me really amplified and excited to get up in the morning and excited to get to work and excited to do this. That feels like such a beautiful thing. So many like in the past, it's been sort of, I'm getting up, I'm going to work, I'm gotta go do this, and it doesn't feel that way now. So
So this is taken over as the thing that you can see yourself doing forever. This it was at one point it was teaching that you thought was the thing. This is now, you can
hmm
feel that this is the thing that this is the thing I want to be doing. Yeah, I feel that coming through.
yeah, I feel like it's just my life. Like it's not really business, it's just my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, I just wanted to just maybe finish off by just asking, this is a new journey for me, marketing in general, putting myself out there, letting myself be visible, like even doing lives and things like
hmm
that. I think that would be quite daunting for me to put myself forward towards. In your experience and what's worked for you, what's one thing that you would recommend that would be a worthwhile exercise in trying in terms of putting yourself out there and marketing and allowing people to become a little bit more aware of what it is that I'm doing?
I would suggest, and the phrase "just do it" came out.
Yes.
Like, you can't overthink it. You just have to do something. Do something.
Yeah,
So if
I
it's a
love that.
Facebook Live, just get on there, see what
Yeah.
Spirit has to say, and come through. And then through that, I think it spreads as it will. I don't know how to market. I don't know how to work those things, but
I know, but you
jump on
are
those opportunities.
yeah, you've got the spot on attitude that I think you've summed it up perfectly there. Just do it. Just turn up every day and
Yeah.
in what I'm feeling come through is just feel what you think is the right thing to do and don't overthink it. Just jump in and do the thing.
hmm
And you said there it's about sort of just doing, taking action, checking in to see what works, what doesn't work. Just learning as you go. I guess this is what this whole process is about. And
It is that surrendering. Yeah. Surrendering and being open and writing down your dreams, like writing down what it is that you're looking for. I need to do that more. I
yeah,
I try to as often as I can, because you have to write down what you want so the universe knows what you want. You can't just wait and not be attached to how it's going to come to you too.
I've heard that sort of many times. That idea that we can't create something if we can't express specifically what it is. And I think what you said there sums it up perfectly. We need to be able to get that out, express what that is, not be attached to the actual final results, but just get in there and
Mhm.
do whatever we think is that action that's required that's going to start moving the needle. I love it.
Yeah. And we never even know, like anything you do can have effects that you don't know why you're doing it, or um, who that may be affected on a positive level. And we don't need to know that. Like, we don't need to know. We just know that we're here to be messengers. It is. And I'm being reminded of it as we're speaking. So,
Well, thank you so much, Linda, for taking the time to come in today and have this conversation. As you're aware, it's the very first time I've had the opportunity to be able to interview, and I've had a ball. It's been fantastic to hear a little bit about
awesome.
your story.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for sharing. If anyone is listening and they'd like to be able to reach out and contact you, how's the best way for people to contact you?
You can email me at imperialserenityandwellness@gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook, on my Facebook page, or check out my website at imperialserenityandwellness.com. And there's a form on there you can fill out if you want to contact me. So.
And is there anything else you'd like to add or comment before we finish up?
No, I don't think so. I feel complete.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I love being able to share my story, and I wish you the best of luck.
No problem at all. It's been a pleasure. Well, I hope you did enjoy the conversation between Lynda and I today. For me personally, I just love that advice of just do it. Don't hold ourselves back. Just jump in and do the things that we know we need to be doing. I know throughout this journey that has been an overriding theme. So if you've got actions that you know you should be doing, just jump out there and just do it. I encourage you all to support Lynda on her journey. If you have resonated with her message, please reach out and start a conversation with her. If you are enjoying the podcast, please consider subscribing. It really does go a long way in helping share the show with a wider audience. And if you'd like to get in contact with me, have any questions, think you'd make the perfect guest on the show, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And until tomorrow, bye for now.